Good evening, Mr. and Ms. Internet, and all our ships at sea. It's time once again for the Freeway Forum, coming to you live and direct from the world-famous 405 Freeway in beautiful, sunny Southern California. My name is Atari, and I will be your host for however long this ends up taking, usually about 20 or 30 minutes, where we talk about the big news of the day, or just whatever happens to cross my mind. The Freeway Forum is a very open-ended, sort of a stream of consciousness that we jump into. Hey there! Who's that? Hey Stone! Can't see who that is. Hey Stone. Can't see your little avatar there, but that's okay. That's okay. Thanks for joining me today. What the hell was I going to talk about today? Oh, it's Drew! Drew, the Thrashers Fan! Drew, the Thrashers Fan. Fellow Thrashers Fan, yes. Ha ha ha! Oh, yeah. There we go. Just keep them flowing, keep them flowing. I apologize, I don't have my headset in today, so you're going to get a lot of noise, unfortunately. So, yes, here we are. It's a remarkable day. I have absolutely no show notes today, so unfortunately we're just going to kind of wing it. Like the name of my, the former name of my blog. But anyway, here we are. Oh my goodness. So, it's Ducks game 7 tonight. Oh, you know what? That is a very good question. Confidence and Ducks and Game 7s are usually not indicative of each other. But we will see how we do. Give it a shot. We'll go in there. We don't have. We'll see if we've alleviated the Boudreaux curse. But that's a whole nother matter entirely. The Oilers have played very well. The Ducks have played about as well as they normally do. So this should be interesting. The Vegas odds are just slightly in favor of the Ducks. I think it's what, 50? I think it's a 59-41 split in favor of the Ducks right now. So we'll take that and we'll see what happens tonight here at Honda Center, right? Yeah, we're at Honda Center, right? Yes. Here in the pond. Good old Arrowhead Pond. Well, formerly known as the Arrowhead Pond. It's still the pond as far as I'm concerned. Still the pond as far as most Ducks fans are concerned. Oh, anyway. Yeah, so... Yep. So we'll be watching that. Oh, man. I apologize. I'm pulling for it today. I'm just kind of, my brain is a little bit baked, but not like in that 420 kind of baked, but just in the whole, like, there's been a lot of stuff going on that I have to keep up with. But anyway, so here we are. So James Comey got fired. That's interesting. So this makes 3 people that have had Donald Trump under investigation, and 3 people now that have been fired for investigating Donald Trump. So, oh boy, politics, man. So, I don't know, it's interesting, the similarities between Trump and Nixon at this point are interesting just from a historical standpoint. I don't want to get into partisanism too much, because that's sort of, I don't know, we get into a little bit of partisanship here, but generally it's mostly me just freaking ranting about things that I consider to be apartisan, or, outside of the realm of partisan politics, look at things more from a uncanny similarity. Yes, quite uncanny. The only difference was that Cox was not the director of the FBI that got fired. He was just the lead investigator. So, a little different, but the idea is the same. So, my big question, actually, it's funny. My question to Matt Groening right now, Matt Groening, is, if the election for President of Earth were to happen today, who would actually win? Would it be Nixon or would it be Donald Trump's reincarnated head or reanimated head? Who would in fact actually be the President of Earth at this point if Futurama were happening now? But yeah, we'll see.
Russia will back, oh my goodness, backing the North Koreans? That's a really good question. Geopolitically, if you'd asked me this 20 years ago, I would say yes. However, the geopolitical sphere being what it is today, Russia doesn't want a U.S. military presence any closer than it is. They don't really want the U.S. military presence in South Korea. They certainly wouldn't want it in North Korea. The question really gets into, Russia may or may not support or side with Korea. Most likely what would happen is Russia and China, especially China, would go on the diplomatic side of it. China sure as hell doesn't want a war on the Korean Peninsula. Russia probably doesn't want one there. In all, and we're back. Yeah. So anyway, biggest concern about North Korea for me is not an aerial delivery system, not an ICBM, but some sort of guerrilla tactics. From a purely strategic standpoint, as much as I like to think that Trump is unstable and who knows, a wild card. And of course, I think he likes to keep that. I think he likes to keep that sort of prejudice about him. He likes that image. He likes to be a sort of a wild card image. Because he likes, it's that art of the deal kind of thing. Keep on guessing. If you give your enemy, any kind of information is your weapon. So if you give the opposition any sort of information, then they can use that against you in negotiations, so to speak. So what, as much as I like to, as much as I don't like to think, but as much as I think that he is unstable, I also think that, he might be a rational enough human being, but then again, he is a walking mouthpiece of, for the most part, every freaking, go get him, America! Shoot first, ask questions later, sort of a cowboy image of America, even more so than Bush was. Bush, I never saw Bush as being super cowboy, but Trump is definitely super cowboy. I actually voted for Bush too. Yeah, I know. So I'm not a Republican either. Before you accuse me of such things, I am not a member of any political party, and I like to keep it that way. Anyway, so yeah, as much as I like to think he might be unstable, I would hope that cooler heads will prevail, so that if there was such a situation where a guerrilla-type bomb went off, not a dirty bomb, but an actual fucking nuke, an actual real nuke. Why use a dirty bomb when you could build a real one? it's much well, it's not easier, but it's much more effective. So, you know, I like to think that there would not be a nuclear retaliation at that point, because really, quite honestly, the cons, the downsides of using nuclear weapons far outweigh any pros that you could get. I mean, we could literally. We could lay waste to the northern half of the Korean Peninsula with conventional weapons. It's not that big. It's really not that big, and we could firebomb every square inch of it with conventional weapons. We would not need to use nuclear weapons. Not that I'm advocating firebombing the Korean Peninsula or the northern half of it. Far from it. Far from it, actually. I'm just saying, we wouldn't need to nuke them. We wouldn't need to, even if they nuked us. There'd be no need for it, because as soon as we open those fucking silos, as soon as those damn silos open, all hell is going to break loose all over the planet, and it's done. It's all over at that point. It's all over. Like, there will be no survivors. Or if there are survivors, there will be very few of them, and they won't last long. You're talking about a weapons exchange that will do... a weapons exchange that will obliterate an area and decimate it for eons. I mean, you're talking about a weapon that causes cataclysmic change on a geological scale, time scale. You're talking about the shortest half-lives of the byproducts of these weapons are in several weeks or months. But you're also talking about the longest half-lives, going into centuries. It's something ridiculous, like, hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years. I don't remember. Anyway, it's not a good idea to use it. So, that's sort of my take on Russia and North Korea. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Drew, the Thrashers fan, for chiming in with such a good question today and sort of saving my bacon here. On the Freeway forum, because I did not have any show notes. I really was not prepared for a show today. I kind of didn't want to do a show today, but I figured I would. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to close out now. Anyway, follow along on Twitter at Airborne Surfer. Of course, you can always check out airbornesurfer.com. And then everything, of course, is at youtube.com/theairbornesurfer. youtube.com/theairbornesurfer. Twitter at airbornesurfer. And, of course, airbornesurfer.com. I'm here every Wednesday on the Periscope, about 5-ish Pacific time. And we'll see you all again next week for the Freeway Forum. Again, my name is Atari. I will see you then, and until next time, tally ho, y'all.